Let's show how we can produce and consume messages using the Kafka client. We're going to be using an AVRO schema here through Anthropic Claude and using the StreamNative MCP Server. And since we're going to be using a schema and we're going to be using the StreamNative Ursa cluster, which has a direct catalog integration with either Databricks, Snowflake, or Amazon S3 tables, we're going to show that data automatically show up in Databricks as well. The data we publish right here through Anthropic Claude with our MCP server. So let's start out first. Let's list our available clusters. What clusters do I have available? And I spelled it wrong, but the LLM should be able to figure that out. Looks like we have, I think there should be 2 clusters. Yep, so I want to use DB instance. I'll say I want to use DB instance today. And then I'm going to create a new tenant and namespace for these tests. So let me go ahead and start with, let's create a new tenant called Kafka test tenant and a namespace called Kafka test namespace. It's going to go ahead and use the tools to create those. So tenant create, Kafka test tenant, and namespace create, Kafka test namespace, knowing to put it inside of that tenant. And then I'll say, let's create a new topic called Kafka test topic with 2 partitions. Should be able to do that real quick as well with Pulsar admin topic. And then next I want to start using the Kafka client. So I'm going to explicitly tell it to use the Kafka client as well as use an AVRO schema. It's going to register that schema, and then because of that whole process, the data is going to be in a format that's compatible with our external catalog integrations as well. I'm also going to show how the consumer groups work with offsets. So first off, I'll say let's publish one message to this topic using the Kafka client. I want to use an AVRO schema with 2 fields. We'll say double and string. You can choose fun names for the fields as well as the values. And let's use a fun theme for these messages. So let's see what it decides to do here. First, it's probably going to try and create the schema or publish the message. We'll see what it decides. Came back and eventually said it's going to help us. So we're going to use a space exploration theme for our message field. So first it's going to create an AVRO schema with a double and a string. It registered the schema. And so it fixed some things with some naming conventions. It had to fix the naming convention of the topic, I believe. And it eventually is now publishing the message. And it has values of 42.5 for light years distance and nebula noodle, a whimsical name for a cosmic formation. So next I want to try consuming that message. Let's consume the message using Kafka client with a consumer group Kafka test CG1, we'll say. And I'm going to copy that because I'm going to later specifically ask it to reuse that consumer group. It was sure to add the group in the request. We'll see if it gets the message here. Okay, it prints it back out to me here. And then I want to say let's produce 2 more messages to this topic using the Kafka client, but don't consume them. So we have one called Quasar Quiche, it looks like, is the first message. And the second one is going to be called Pulsar Pizza. So that's a new one. I don't know if that's by chance or the LLM is aware of some things. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up a new chat, and I'm going to try and consume those messages using that consumer group that I created, as well as I have to specify the tenant namespace and topic again. But I'm going to use a new chat to make sure that it's not using any of the history here to incorrectly or get the two messages. I wanted to make sure that it's actually using the offset. So I'm going to say, can you tell me which tenant namespace and topic we used, as well as the consumer group. So I'm just going to copy these and then paste them into a new chat. So the tenant namespace, consumer group. Actually, I want to use these two here, the Kafka format and the consumer group. Okay, let me go ahead and open up a new chat and we'll try and consume those. Here I am in a new chat, and I'm going to say, let's use cluster DB instance again. And I'll say I want to consume messages using the Kafka client. Here is some information about the tenant namespace, topic, and consumer group I want to use. I'm just going to see if it just picks all of that up and is able to consume the messages. And it should only get 2 out of the 3 because it should pick up based off where the consumer group left off. It's pretty cool that in the call, it automatically filled in the tenant namespace and topic, as well as the consumer group. The first time it tried to do @committed, and then the second time it used @start, and then when it used @start, it got the 2 messages back. It got Pulsar Pizza, and it got Quasar Quiche. So the messages appear to contain data about celestial bodies with their names and distances in light years. Now that we've gone ahead and shown how the consumer group offset is working, let's head over to Databricks. By now, this data, which has been published with an AVRO schema, should have gone through the compaction process. So we should have our Delta log and Parquet files, and I should be able to see these inside of Databricks because that's how I've set up this cluster. So as you can see here on the left, I'm in my catalog, and I have my Kafka test tenant, Kafka test namespace, Kafka test topic. Here's that schema with light years distance and celestial body name. You can go ahead and go into my sample data, select compute, and remember we published 3 messages, so 3 messages should start to show up here in Databricks. And then I can actually go into the query editor and sort them by the publish time to make sure that everything's in order in my topic as well. So here's our 3 messages. So here I am in the SQL editor executing this one here, the training demo, Kafka test tenant, Kafka test namespace, Kafka test topic, ordered by publish time descending. You can see these are the 3 in order. And the Nebula Noodle was the first one to publish, then Quasar Quiche. And then as we were laughing, or I was laughing about Pulsar Pizza, that is one of our cosmic cuisines. It actually looks like it added some properties here about deep space exploration, galactic gastronomy, and cosmic cuisine. We have our Pulsar Pizza here as the most recent message being published.